Hi there. My name's Tommy Yionoulis, and I am the host of the brand new podcast, Empire Builders, scaling success one location at a time. This is a podcast dedicated to talking to the founders and the current leadership of those large multi-location brands that you see every single day where you eat and shop at. And we want to find out from these guys, why this business, right? Why of all the things you could do in the world, you chose to do this? We're going to learn what their challenges were at the beginning, what almost broke them. We're going to learn what they're facing today. And as always, we're going to end the show with a wonderful war story. That's one of those stories where you go, I can't believe we got through this. It was insanity, and hopefully they always end with a nice little laugh. So I can't tell you how excited I am to bring you these interviews with these amazing guests and just stoke that entrepreneurial flame that we all have to learn what it took to kind of get where they are today and how they got successful. So thank you for joining us, and I look forward to sharing these wonderful interviews with you. Hey there, Empire Builders. How you doing today? This is Tommy, your host, and I'm super excited to have another interview this afternoon. Please welcome to the show, Tommy B. Now, hey, Tommy. So what's funny, and we were just chatting about it, is that my name's Tommy Yionoulis, but I was actually Thomas Yionoulis at birth. You are Thomas Belongia, right? Did I say it wrong? I think I butchered it. Belongia. But you go by Tommy B, and I go by Tommy Y, right? So that's ridiculous to have two gray-haired men talking that their name's Tommy. But tell us about your name and your family.
Well, yeah. So I got called Tommy B from an early age on, so it kind of just stuck from there. And then once you get into your professional life, you're trying to be like, I'm Thomas Belongia. And everybody looks at my last name, I'm sure just like yours, goes, how do I pronounce this? How do I spell this? Why does this look like baloney?
Yeah.
And it never ended. So I just started going by, just call me Tommy B. And it just stuck. But my name actually is a French name, which is Belongia, which is a kind of shortened version. If you ever go to a bakery, that fancy French bakery, it's a boulangerie. So my last name got done there. And when, trying to trace back, everybody does this. You start looking through your history and trying to figure out, well, how do we get here? Because we're a nation of immigrants. Well, the family story has always been that back in France, we had to leave there because evidently our ancestors liked other people's horses a little too much. I got driven out of France, went to Canada, started taking up new trades there, and then kind of got busted in the Wisconsin territory before it was actually a thing, illegally fur trapping. And then we got in the straight and narrow because they said you could become a U.S. citizen to get out of this trouble if you'll promise to get straight and narrow. So that's how I got here.
Oh, that is the best story ever. I love it. I just think it's funny. You never meet anybody else that's Tommy with this one letter, Tommy Y was my stage name when I did stand-up back in the 90s. So that's how I got to Tommy Y. But also when you have a long last name, you get tired of spelling it all the time. You know what I mean? So you just put a Y down and let's move on. And here's another interesting thing about my name, which I don't know if you would ever get this. But I'll tell people my name's Yionoulis, Y-I-O, and I'll go Y-I-O, and the person who's writing it will write it W-H-Y, and then they will catch themselves. But it happens so often that it's a real thing. It happens, I would say, 50% of the time. I wonder if it goes B-E-E.
I have had to resort to going, okay, my last name is spelled the word long, I-A. And that's the only way to get people to actually get it right. So, yeah. And in the days of now with email addresses, every company uses your last name with your first initial. I had to go argue with mine. I'm like, no, I want it to be TommyB@Biggby.com, just so it's simpler and easier. So I had to stop spelling it so often with everybody out in the universe. So it works out well.
So welcome to the show. I always like to ask sort of the same 5 questions to everybody. And the first question is, Tommy B, please tell me about like what you do and your company that you work for or you own.
I have been self-employed for the last 15 years. I was one of the first people to open a Biggby Coffee here in the great state of Wisconsin. I've done that now. I did that for about 10 years. And then the guys who ran the company who have opened the first store and still to this day run the company, started a program called Area Representatives to help build the growth of the company, to get us from a small, about 3-state store chain to where we are now with 15 different stores and 400 locations. So 5 years ago, I jumped on board and became an area rep to help develop the rest of the state of Wisconsin. And that's what I've been doing for the last 5 now.
Okay, so you own 3 coffee shops. Are these like, I don't think I've ever been in a Biggby. Is it a Starbucks with a drive-through, or is it just sort of in the middle of a strip center? Like, what's kind of your model?
I would say think of a Starbucks, but make it happy and less pretentious. Because Biggby is really designed to be for everybody. So we put bright colors in our stores. We have vibrant atmosphere. Our drinks names are all kind of cute, fun names: a caramel marble, a teddy bear, a white lightning. So we take the difficulty that a lot of people have with coming to a coffee shop because they don't know how to order and they don't know what to order. We make it far more simple. So like we call our cups small, medium, and large. Hey, just so that anybody who wants to come and have a great cup of coffee or have a great experience, they're able to come in and be able to take part in it and not feel like you have to learn a different language to come and get a cup of coffee.
Totally. That's cool. And then, okay, so we understand that part of it. Talk to me about being an area developer, because that I don't think I've ever interviewed anybody who's currently an area developer, and explain how that business model works and what your responsibilities are and how you kind of do that job.
It's a lot. Being an area representative or an area developer. A lot of different companies do it. Everybody does it slightly a little bit different. What Biggby is looking for, and what I spend most of my time doing, is talking to people about what do they want to do. One of our big mantras with Biggby is Biggby Coffee exists to help you build a life you love. And that's what we really try to talk with everybody about. Like, we're looking for a certain kind of person. So I do a lot of time talking to people to see if they would fit well within our company culture. Because the worst thing I could ever do for somebody is to sign them up for a business and then they don't fit well. They're not going to be happy. They're going to be miserable. They're going to make everybody else around them miserable. Everybody's worked with that person who's in the wrong position or the wrong company. So I spend a lot of my time when I'm talking to people is not just trying to talk them into something. I don't feel like that's my job. My job is to show them what we are, what we're about, and make sure that this person is going to fit well with us. Because we're not going to change, and we don't want to have to change somebody to make them fit. So once I've identified a person who I think is going to be a great candidate, I work with them, get them signed up, they join the franchise, and then the real fun work begins. Real estate. So we start finding real estate. We start looking at different locations. And the beauty of a Biggby system is we can really fit in to whatever the best model for you is, whether that's a drive-through only, an end cap with a seating area, small store, big city, little town. We're able to work with what is there to really kind of blend into our community. Once we've identified that, then I walk the person through the design, the ordering of all the equipment and everything. And then the real down and dirty work gets going, training somebody to be a really good barista, shift leader, store manager, and then being a great store owner. And hopefully in this amount of time that I've spent with this person, they're picking up a lot of tips and tricks and abilities, so that way we can develop people from never having made a cup of coffee into being a master of their own destiny and helping them to create that life they love through coffee, through community, through their connection with everybody around them. So I always say I am a very experienced shepherd who will walk people through what it takes to get to their happy place.
Nice. Do you guys do personality profiling? Just out of curiosity.
Sort of like we do go through a lot of questions with people. So a lot of it is really just talking to somebody and getting an understanding of what they are about. You know, when I'm talking to a potential franchisee and the person only asks me about how much money they can make, that's not going to be a good fit in our culture. If the person is only interested in how many hours they're going to have to work, that's probably not going to be a good fit in our culture. But when somebody's really excited about when we talk about our Farm Direct program or our Giving is Getting programs, or they want to know more about how they can use their coffee shop to be part of their community, that's when I start feeling like I've got a better person. And we go down a lot of different paths and a lot of different questions, really just trying to get to know somebody and to make sure that they're going to be a good fit within it. So we do have, of course, like sets of questions, but I don't think we really go into a depth of as a personality test.
Totally. That's because the reality is the worst. I mean, it's like, it's bad when you hire somebody and they're a bad fit for the culture of what you're trying to build and your business, right? But it's 1,000 times worse when somebody invests hundreds of thousands of dollars into a business and they're a bad fit, right? And then, they're left in debt trying to sell this business that they're miserable at, and they end up taking a bath,
Right. And that's, like, I take it very as a large personal responsibility. My job is to protect their investment. They're going to spend somewhere between $300,000 and $700,000 to get a store open, and this is their probably part of their life savings, their hopes and dreams, their wishes and initiatives. And for a lot of people, you're talking about creating generational wealth. If they do it right, if they're successful and they can go from that first store to that 4th, 5th, 10th store, you're going to help them to create wealth that is going to go beyond just trading the current job they have for another job. They're going to create opportunity for everyone in their family, everybody that they know, the community around them, and be able to create something that can not just for themselves, but for their kids and even their grandkids, make huge changes in their life by being able to do this as a side project. But on the flip side, if you get somebody and they don't understand this, and they're not able to follow this program, they're not able to become successful for it, you can have the opposite effect. And that's a chilling responsibility that as an area rep, I take to heart quite a bit.
Well, and it's interesting too, because I worked at Quiznos back in the day. I got there early 2008 and I stayed through most of the way through 2009. And that was at the height of their implosion, And I will tell you that there were some scumbaggy people that were real estate brokers there, that were franchise sales reps there, who didn't take the responsibility that you're taking today, and they were just getting people in there that had no idea what they were getting into, and it was just about getting commissions, right? And that is one thing that I do like about the area developer model, is that there's a shadow of the future that you have with these people, right? So you're still going to be in that area, operating, doing your business, and you're also working with these people. So you have an extra responsibility to yourself and to your reputation and to those people to steer them correctly, right? Because you're all going to be there. You all live in the same area. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I take it also as, the more successful I can create one franchise, because like, let's take a market, go to Green Bay, Wisconsin. I look at Green Bay, Wisconsin. I think there's going to be maybe 8 or 10 stores in that greater Green Bay area. I can go out and recruit 8 different owners, or I could recruit 2. Spend time with those 2, help them to develop themselves, and they get 4 or 5 stores each. And now I only have 2 different people that I need to be working with and helping and encouraging and consoling, and the highs and lows of retail, which is a far better, more rewarding, and less traumatic for myself as well, if I have fewer owners than if I have 10 different single store owners that I have to deal with every single day. So one of the beauties of an area rep model is, if I can develop great owners and a great team around them, it makes my day better. It makes my job easier. It will create more sustainable growth for our entire brand. And that's what we really concentrate on.
And I think the other part of that too is it's better for the operator as well, right? Because, you get road construction and all of a sudden your sales can get cut in half for 3 years. You know what I mean? So it's one of those deals where you need people to get 3 or 4 locations so that when one goes up or one goes down, the others can buoy them and keep them afloat. And also it's better for them, because once they get to 3 or 4, then they can really make a great living, So it's it's a win across the board.
One of I was kind of, I jokingly call it my preacher on the pulpit speeches, is about what is your job now? Because a lot of people come to food retail and haven't always worked in food retail. They're not necessarily going to understand these things. And none of them have ever been a business owner before, basically. So it's one of those questions of, you're transitioning from a school teacher or an accountant, or maybe you're a real estate agent, and now you're going to become a coffee shop owner. So one of my speeches I like taking people through is, well, what is your job now? Is your job to be the best barista? Is your job to be the best shift leader, assistant manager, or manager? What is your job as the coffee shop owner? And it always catches people a little off guard, and they kind of hum and haw, and they're like, well, I got to grow the sales, and I got to make sure people are happy, and I got to do this. And I kind of boil it down to a couple of little things that I think a store owner's job really is. A wise man told me one time, your customer's experience will never surpass your barista's experience. Meaning, if your frontline employee isn't a happy, positive, having a good time person, how do you ever expect a customer to be a happy, positive customer? So part of your job is to make sure that you're interacting with your staff, checking in with them, making sure that they're having a good time at work. And yes, every employee should have a good time at work, be able to work and have fun at the job on the clock. Okay. The second thing is, you need to be then the champion of your business. If you're working 40 hours a week inside your business, behind the counter, you're going to maintain whatever level of business you're currently at. You might not lose a single customer, but you will also never gain another customer. So you need to empower your staff and your manager, your shift leaders, whoever you've got around you, to run that business, train them, make them excellent. And then you, as the owner, have to get your butt outside those 4 walls and go creating the next couple of customers, the next Biggby fanatic. Create 1 new Biggby fanatic per day, per store, who will actively promote you to others, and you will have a huge, successful business in no time.
I love that. I love that last statement. Just create 1 new customer who's going to love you every day. That's 360 customers, but then they're all going to talk to 10 people, and now it's 3,600. You know what I mean? Like, it's
that foundation of what Biggby principles are. Is we're not Starbucks, we're not Dunkin' Donuts, We're your local, connected to your community people. We don't have any owners that are, 400 locations or 100 locations. We don't have anybody who's a money market fund or anything like that. We have local, real people in every one of our communities. So whenever you come to one of our stores, you're going to be able to connect with the same person who maybe has kids in the same school you have your kids in. And that's one of our competitive advantages, the art of war. If you're small, that means you're more agile. If you're local, that means you can be more connected. It's things that our competitors, because they got stuff they can do that we could never do. We're not big enough, but they're also big. We're small. We got things that we can do that they could never do. And it's about taking advantage of those things and realizing that that's a huge advantage in this world.
Yeah, it's I totally get it. That was question number 1. So let's go to question number 2. Why did you choose Biggby Coffee? Of all the things you could have done, starting your own business, why did you choose this?
Well, I was working for a company called Pilot Travel Centers, and I loved what I did. I had a great time doing it. It's an awesome company. I think they're some of the best truck stops, convenience stores in the world. Run by very smart people, and I moved around a lot while I was doing it. Met a beautiful woman, tricked her into marrying me, and she agreed to continue moving with me. But then we started talking about having kids, and we kind of had to figure out, okay, I want to settle down, I want to figure this thing out, and I want to build something. And I had been exposed to doing franchises over just doing my own business, because I'm really good at executing a program. I'm pretty creative on some things, but I didn't want to have to reinvent the wheel. So I sat down and realized franchising is what I wanted to do. I'm okay with giving up some creative control or menu or marketing, because I don't like those things. So what did I want to do? And I sat down, and I was with me and my wife, and we were kind of, it's Wisconsin, so we were drinking brandy old fashions on a Friday night, and we were sitting down and writing out what we needed. And I wrote this list of 10 things that I needed, and things on there were like, I know I'm a workaholic, so I knew I wanted something that I could do every day of the week, but would feel a little different every day. I wanted something that I could do multiples of. I knew that I wouldn't be happy if I just only had one. I knew that I wanted something that was going to be the first of in my community. I didn't want to have a McDonald's or a Subway. There were already plenty of those here. I wanted to bring something new that I thought was exciting. And I kind of had this list, and we started going to a lot of different franchises. I went to franchise trade shows. I went to a lot of different franchises, home office, and I could get to 7 or 8 of the items on my list pretty easily with most places, but it wouldn't feel like I wanted something as outgoing and personable as myself. So like insurance salesman was out of the question. That was not going to be what I was going to thrive at doing. So it was through going through this and really meaning, I think we met with in like store visits, like we went to their home office. I want to say like 25 different companies. And I had narrowed my list down to about 3. And on our final tour, the final lap, we were stopping in Lansing, Michigan to go see Biggby Coffee. And I met Bob Fish and Mike McFall, the 2 guys who started Biggby Coffee, and a guy named Sandy Green, who was their real estate developer. And in this tour, we were talking about a lot of different things, and like everything was clicking. The personality was there, the ability to do it, the market I liked. I loved coffee. I love the marketing of coffee. I love the growth and expanse that you could see coffee was going to have. I liked the way the company was set up. I liked the people with it. And then my wife sat with Sandy, and we were doing this coffee tour of the roaster. And Sandy didn't talk to me, but he talked to my wife the whole time and was asking her a bunch of questions. I got to listen. He was showing her this connection in saying, oh, if you guys are going to do this, this is what this is going to be like, and this will be what this will be, and this will be what this is. And he was really talking about our life as a couple, as building a family, and not so much just about you could make millions of dollars and we'll tell you all this stuff and only cost you a quarter, where a lot of these other franchises groups were like that, where they were just trying to pitch you something and sell it to you. This was way more of, if you're going to be in this, this is the kind of things you're going to go through and live, and you can live and be. And that was compelling to us. So we came back home, sat down, we started going through all of our questions and everything, and it really hit home. We got to about 10 with Biggby, and nobody else could get to all 10. And that's when we kind of made the decision to move forward with opening up our first Biggby Coffee.
That's really great. That's a great story. Yeah, I just know, like, I feel like, selling franchises in a lot of circumstances is a lot like selling timeshares. You know what I mean? It's sort of a high pressure, high dollar sale. And it's cool that you had such a different experience. And it's also cool that I think what's really that people should take away from what you said was that you made a list, right, of 10 things that you needed to have. And then you visited 25 different franchises, which means you probably got 25 steak dinners and, got to tour the RSC and see how exciting it was. And here's our innovation kitchen and here's our head chef. And, that's like, that was great that you did that, because one of the things that I feel like happens with a lot of franchisees is they abdicate some of their responsibility to the franchisor. Like the franchisor is selling you a business concept, right? And then and that business concept is recipes and marketing and, marketing materials and figuring out what equipment you need and all that kind of stuff. But like, you're the business owner. And I think I've met a lot of franchisees, and when I worked at Quiznos, who like at some point were like, well, it's your fault, not mine, and stop managing their business. You know what I mean?
Completely. Yeah. And it's one of the things I love going over with people and saying, look, you're going to pay a franchise fee. What's the franchise fee for? What's that $20,000 to $40,000 you're going to pay a franchisor so you get the rights to that business? And the most common answer I get from people, I'm buying the marketing or the name or the recipes or whatever it is. They think it's these things, and I'm always shocked I should say they're always shocked when I say that is not what you're buying. You are buying a system. The system is what makes the franchise. Every company has a name. Every company has a restaurant. Every company has a gimmick. I don't care what they are. And all of them work to some extent, good, bad, indifferent. They're all there for a reason. They've gotten past 2 stores for some sort of reason. But when you pay that franchise fee, you're buying a system, and you need to make sure that you as the franchisee are super excited about that system, not the brand, not the product. You can sell anything. You can sell Bibles, you can sell vacuum cleaners, you can sell crappy used cars. The system is what makes a franchise a winner or a loser. It's that support mechanism that will help you thrive or die. And if it's not the right one for you, don't do it. If it is the right one for you, jump in and let's get running, but make sure it's something you're going to want to do every single day. So for us, if your only concern is how little hours you can do at work and how much money you can make, don't buy a Biggby Coffee. Go play on the stock market. You'll be way happier. But if you want something that you can fulfill your day's time, and you can go have a good time doing it, and you can meet a ton of people, and you can have an experience where you're basically like, one of my favorite statements is, if you own a Biggby Coffee, you're that town de facto mayor. You weren't elected, but you're going to know everybody in town and everybody's going to know you. They're all going to love you because you're the coffee guy. And that's what makes us different than everybody else. Because if you concentrate on that, if you concentrate on making people happy, doing your best in your community, the success will follow. The business will follow. Everybody is looking to connect with something, especially today. I think this was true back when I signed up. It's even more true today. People want a company that they can feel they're connected to. And I'm not talking politics and I'm not talking religion. I'm talking they can feel like it's part of theirs. They own the shop. I've got a group of knitters that meet in one of my locations every Monday night, and they've been doing it for 14 years. They have literally told me, I don't own the shop on Monday nights, it's theirs. And I love it. They're some of the nicest people in the world. And it started out as 2 ladies, and now sometimes it's 30 to 60 people show up to sit around on a Monday night and knit. How cool is that?
That's absolutely amazing. And I do think coffee shops really are unique in that respect. Like, you're not going to sit around in like a sub shop and do that. It's not your sub shop. You know what I mean? But coffee is meant for sipping and, just relaxing, reading. It's a contemplative, like cigars. I mean, it's like a lot like cigars, where you sit down and you hang out and you just kind of enjoy yourself. You know what I mean?
It's the new modern day barbershop. Where, back in the 70s, barbershops were the place where guys would go and sit and chit chat and talk, or the beauty salon, women would go and sit and chit chat. Coffee shops have become that. It's kind of come circle back around, because during the early days of America, that coffee shops actually got outlawed by the British Imperials, because that was where people were meeting and talking about revolutionary ideas. And then once America started forming as its own, people like Benjamin Franklin in their newspapers put out there, like, why don't we have tea time anymore? We have coffee breaks. We don't have tea breaks, we have coffee breaks in America. It's because back in the 1700s, they started saying, hey, we're not British anymore. Stop drinking tea. We're Americans. We drink coffee. And that seeped into our culture. And that's one of the cool things about coffee shops, is it is a very American kind of feel to it. And it's where the idea of having a social gathering place and bringing people together, it really kind of comes from. And I love being part of that.
That's super cool. So I'm going to move on to question number 3. What were some of the early challenges you had when you were opening your first store and your second store?
Nobody knew what the heck a Biggby Coffee was. I was 9 hours from the next store. I think I was the 107th store in the chain. I was the furthest west. Biggby got started in Lansing, Michigan. And if you go to Michigan, they're everywhere. Like, everybody in Michigan knows who they are. There was a funny story. Bob Fish, the CEO and co-founder, he stopped, pulled over on the side of the road, had to take a picture of a billboard because it was a local bank in Michigan had put out a sign, "We're so Michigan, we can't start our day without Biggby either." He didn't know they were doing this ad, but it was so prevalent over there that the word Biggby could be swapped out for the word coffee. And over here, we had the exact opposite, because there were no stores. I was the first person. So everybody thought my last name, being called Tommy B, my last name must have been Biggby, which it isn't. But for the longest amount of time, I got called Mr. Biggby, to the point where my kids would hear somebody yell out Mr. Biggby, and they knew that they were talking, somebody was talking to me, even though they knew that that wasn't our last name. So it was really kind of building that brand awareness and getting people to understand who we are and what we're about. And even here, 15 years later, that's the number one thing as a smaller brand you have to work on. And that was one of the things where I was really excited to become an area rep, was because the more Biggby I could get into the state, the better off it would be for everyone.
Sure. Talk about the importance of local store marketing, I think. Well,
and it's so There's two types of marketing you can do. There's paid marketing, which is important. And then there's the really important stuff, guerrilla marketing. The low cost, easy thing to get outside your four walls. So one of the things I work on with a lot of different owners is doing what we call drink drops, where you're going to make up 4 drinks, you're going to throw some coupons with them, you're going to run them to a business within 1 to 2 miles of your location, and you're going to walk in and say, hey, I'm with Biggby Coffee, I'm on the Happiness Patrol today. We're dropping you guys off some treats, enjoy, and there's some coupons for you to come on in the future, and introduce yourself to whoever's working with you. And I always coach everybody, you want to start in that 1 to 2 mile radius, because, and you're doing businesses, so you know that the people you're dropping these things off with are coming past your store 5 days a week, or they live somewhere near your store 7 days a week. Because if you can win your backyard, again, you'll have no choice but to be successful. You can introduce yourself as the owner in your neighborhood and start making those connections. And these are things that nobody can just buy. This is advertising that money can't create for you. This is building that connection into your community. Then go look at every charitable organization you can find, and you should be at every race, every outing, every experience. I wound up meeting a lady who worked with special needs students in the school, and they were trying to figure out how they could teach some social skills to some of these kids that had some very negative social experiences, were very timid, didn't fit in well. And they were sitting in my coffee shop, and I was like, hey, you guys should start a coffee cart and make brewed coffee, make some stuff, take it around to the class, make these kids introduced. And this teacher, she thought this was a great idea. She started writing up a program, and she came and I helped her with it. And we started meeting with these kids. We taught them how to brew coffee, and then how to put it on the cart, and then how to talk to people. And they were doing like a buck a cup. So students could come up and get a cup of coffee. Teachers could come up and get a cup of coffee. Within 3 months, these special needs kids who were very shy, were very timid, didn't want to ask questions, they started getting more social. They started being able to walk around their school, and the kids in the other classes knew who they were because they were part of the coffee cart. And it just helped to develop and grow. And it was about a year after doing this, we actually got a local news crew came out and it heard about it. So they did this huge story about it. And this again, so here was this thing, we donated coffee, a couple pounds of coffee a week, some cups, taught these kids how to do it, helped them set up this program, went in and checked on and made sure standards were being followed. But here now, a year later after doing it, we had this huge news story that went nationwide about this coffee cart and these kids and these growing things. And if I didn't have this sense of giving is getting, of just doing good, I don't know if that would have ever happened. I don't know if a corporate store could ever have done something like this, but a locally owned store could. And the second example I'll give you that one, this was a hilarious one. It's Wisconsin, we get lots of snow. There was snow was on the forecast, and one of our local police departments put out a thing going, hey, if everybody can drive safely, this pizza shop down the way will give away free pizza. Just kidding. They never said that, but we could hope. And I wrote on their Facebook page, I'm like, hey, I'm the owner of Biggby. If we had no accidents, I'll give everybody free brewed coffee. And the police department contacted me and said, are you serious? And I'm like, absolutely, let's do it. So for the first 3 snowstorms of the snow season, the cops kept going, hey, we almost got through it. We had 1 accident today. We're going to try the next one. We got to the 3rd one, and finally they had an entire day, no accidents. And the police department did this little speech. It was this funny thing. We had the police captain come out and give away coffee for a day. And we gave away like 500 cups of hot coffee and like 300 cups of iced coffee. And it was a great event. Everybody had a ton of fun. And then that news story got picked up and it went nationwide again. Because here's this funny story that people could retell. That's the kind of advertisement that you want. That's the kind of feel that you want to create with people. and it's stuff that you can't buy.
Yeah, and I mean, the reality is like, what do those beans really cost you? The cups cost more than the beans, probably, right? But like that just comes out of your marketing budget. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And like a lot of people look at like discounting as a negative thing. Oh, I'm giving away too much product. No, you're buying customers. What would you pay to get a customer to come to you 3 to 5 times a week? How much is that worth? You buy TV, radio, social media, whatever it is, kind of advertising, and you hope that somebody will come back to you. Versus if you give somebody $1 off, or you do a buy one get one free, or you just do just a silly promotion, and you give somebody a discount, and that person starts coming to you more often. What do you care? You got to spend money to make money. Everybody knows that. Then everybody gets all caught up and worried, oh, I'm discounting too much, or I'm giving away too much. Well, are you growing? Are you developing? What's your cup count at? What's your growth percentage? Is your labor still in line? Well, what are you worried about? You should have budgeted this idea of giving away some things into your pricing, into what you're doing. It's all percentages in the food business. And make sure that you're out there doing it, because you will create far more people who become fanatics for you with these little discounts and these little initiatives, daily deals. Everybody does them. I had one person challenge me, oh, no, not everybody does it. I'm like, everybody. Rolex. This is a watch company that everybody knows and everybody wants. It's the famous, it's this. There's always sales on it. They have end of year models. They do these different things. That's a discount. They just don't call it a discount. It's not $1 off a cup, but they're going to do something. Toyota-thon, all of these car manufacturers do this. Those are discounts. It's the same thing in your food business. So make sure that you're doing it on that end. You're doing good works out in your community. And yes, pay some advertisements to go out and drive traffic in.
Yeah, local store marketing is what makes or breaks franchise. All businesses, but really franchise businesses specifically, because you have the national advertising behind you, but you need to be driving those people into your business. You need to have that relationship with the community. It's not Taco Bell, it's Tommy's Taco Bell. You know what I mean? It's Tommy's Biggby. It's not just Biggby Coffee, this big faceless corporate monstrosity like Starbucks. It's Tommy's. He's the owner and operator of that coffee. And so when I go to Starbucks, I'm actually like doing him wrong. You know what I mean? I should go to his coffee shop and take care of him.
Yeah, and it's through getting out in your community. It's through introducing yourself to people. It's through doing good works. Is how you get people to know who you are and be able to connect with them. And that it's this never-ending cycle. I had somebody explain this to me at one point in time, and I'll never forget it. Sports games, everybody loves celebrating at the end of a sports game because you won or you lost or you did good, and it's done, and you're done with that. Retail is like the Super Bowl every day. You get to completely start over every single day and try and build and grow and develop. And it's this never-ending game of really trying to pay attention to what's going on and grow your team and grow your sales and grow your connections and finding new and creative ways of doing it. And it just goes on and on forever, which makes it exciting. So every day can be different.
It's funny. I've talked to you, and I just talked to another guy yesterday, and he owns a different franchise concept. One of the things that always strikes me about the hospitality business is that if you allow yourself to get into the mindset of this is the same thing every day, it's Groundhog Day every day, I'm in this shop open to close every single day, then that's when your business starts to tank and you stop caring about customers and you just get bored, right? And then you're no good to anyone. But it's so refreshing to talk to people who are successfully doing this, who have gone, no, like you have to, in this industry, in the hospitality retail industry, you have to figure out how you can make your business interesting every day. Because if you don't, it's not going to grow, right? Like, you can't look at it as being, okay, I'm just selling coffee again. It's Tuesday. Today's Wednesday. You have to look at, here's a new opportunity for me to make someone happy. Here's an opportunity for me to execute this new marketing plan, or go visit somebody new in the area, or stop by the state farm agencies. I haven't been there in a while, and I haven't seen them in a while. It's that you have to you have to go focus in on the details that are going to drive your business, and not allow yourself to get caught up in that, hey, it's Groundhog Day every day, right?
Well, I think that's part of the problem where a lot of people don't stop and think about what's your job as the owner. It's that back to that original question. What is your job as the owner? Should you be in your shop every single day? My argument is you shouldn't. If you're, I don't care if you're selling pizza, shoes, coffee, whatever it is, you shouldn't, as the owner, be in your shop every single day. You need to develop a team that can execute what you want and have trust and faith that they're going to be able to do that. Stop in, check in, come have a slice, come have a cup of coffee, check out the new shoe shipment, whatever it is. But you should be able to let them do that, because you as an owner have a whole different set of things to worry about. And this is why your day needs to be separated and different, because you need time for your brain to think. Too many owners wind up going into these businesses and they're just 5, 6, 7 days a week. They're in their shop from open to close because they don't trust their team. They don't trust themselves. They're worried about it. They think they're the only one who can do this well. And instead of empowering people around them to free themselves up, they over micromanage everything, and they wind up doing more harm to their business than good. Oh, yeah. Sometimes you just need to let your staff do and don't worry about it, and coach them and use everything as an opportunity to learn. One of the greatest things about owning a coffee shop is if we screw up with a customer, what does it cost me? Another $1 to make them a cup of coffee? Who cares? Just make them the other cup of coffee. But use that mistake or that experience to coach, develop, and create that awesome team. So myself as the owner or whoever it is, you're more free, because your job is not to just manage one store. That's what you pay a manager for, but to own stores, to get to multiple, to develop that system, execute your franchise system, develop your own system of operation, and grow. You're in a race. First-time store owners, you're in a race to get to 3 stores within those first 3 years. Do it as fast and as hard as you can to develop that, and you will create life-changing wealth and development while you can have fun and connectivity to your community.
Well, I would argue, if you can't go on vacation, if you can't get sick, if you can't go to a funeral or a family reunion or anything, if you can't be out of your 4 walls, you don't have a business. You have a cult personality. You know what I mean? And that's no way to live your life, And
you've traded one job for another. And yes, you get to be your own boss, but now you're working 60, 70 hours a week. You're burned out. Your stress level is high. Your weight's gone up. You're having heart problems, and you're going to die early. You didn't open a business to do all that. You opened a business to create a better life for yourself. Why don't you have a better life? Why don't you have these things that you wanted? Do you sit down? One of the things I coach people on is having a vision board. Where do you want to be in 5 years and 10 years? What do you want to make happen? Start planning these things out, and then make the roadmap to get there. Because if you don't have a destination and you don't have a plan, you're never going to go anywhere. And eventually stress, time, sickness, whatever is going to catch up to you, and you're going to fall off. And once you start going down, it's hard to get back up.
Yeah, you said it, man. Okay, so number 4, what are some of the challenges that you're facing right now? What are your big challenges within your business, I guess, your stores?
My biggest challenge is still my first challenge. brand awareness and development, as I'm trying to introduce a coffee brand to an entire state and really start to get it growing. And we're making huge steps in Milwaukee and Sheboygan and Green Bay as we're like starting to develop and really grow these things. But that is still, I think, the number one thing is in developing a territory is really getting the name brand known out there and what we're really all about. And then just hammering that culture and those values into everybody that I'm working with.
So
I'm really blessed to have a great franchise system that has a lot of support mechanisms for us as operators, but it's just that name brand.
Sure. Do you guys get do they run national ads or do they do coupon drops for you yet, or do you need more stores before they'll start doing that? Or stay?
We have some. So we have a reward system. We have an app. We have a lot of different things that we use through those. And as those develop, they keep getting better. And we have coupons. We have doing those, but we do a lot of real just general localized ones. And the biggest problem I have is the Chicago market isn't developed yet. And for something to go from Michigan around the Great Lakes up into Wisconsin, it takes a bit. So,
yep, that makes complete sense. All right, man. Well, we've been going pretty long. We're almost at the end of our time here today. I want to make sure we get in my favorite question of the day, which is our war story question. So, you got a war story for me?
Oh, I'm thinking of a couple of different ones. So we were talking a lot about leaving your system. So my worst war story happened just almost a year ago. I was on vacation with my family, and there was an accident, and a dock I was on with my son broke.
Ooh. And
I was able to keep him to safety, but I fell through, hit my head. Very, very badly. Got a severe concussion, blacked out, almost died, but got saved. And it took 9 months of pretty hard recovery to get through that.
Wow.
And I am very blessed to have great people who work with me, from both my home office, from my area rep kind of group, as well as within my own stores, that helped to not have to shut down. You talk about taking a vacation. How about if you had to step away for almost 9 months? That is when I knew that my group was doing really, really well, was because I could take that time that I needed to overcome a very, very bad brain injury, and my system didn't break down.
Well, and that's also a testament to the system that you built, right? And the importance of investing in building the system as you go, not just, hey, we'll deal with this later. We'll put all these things in place later. You got to have processes. You got to have systems, and you got to hold people accountable to it. And what's, excuse me, what's interesting is that, that's kind of what we do as a business. But, so oftentimes it's that 1 or 2 unit operator who's like, I don't need this because I'm in my shops every day. And I think at the beginning, we used to just go, okay, well, yeah, you're in your shops every day. But now, I think just hearing your story, it reaffirms to me, no, you don't know, you don't know what's going to happen, man. And the worst thing that could happen to you is you get into an accident where you have a severe brain injury. You're down on the count for 9 months. Oh, and during that period of time, your entire income in the business you spent 15 years building evaporates underneath your feet, Systems are for all size businesses.
Yeah, and it's really Mike McFall, who's one of the co-founders of Biggby. He wrote a book called Grind, and in one of the chapters there's in there is you never know when the boogeyman's going to hit you in the stomach. You just know that at some point in time the boogeyman's going to jump out and hit you in the stomach, and it's about being prepared to handle that. No matter what it is, that you're going to be able to have this positive outcome, that you too can get through this. There's a quote from Tom Hanks. He was on this podcast, and he was talking about like the good times and the bad times. And he said there's a statement that he heard that has stuck with him, no matter if it's good or bad. This too shall pass. So if you're in the good times and everything's great, don't get too comfortable, because this too shall pass. And when it's the darkest and you're dealing with the most hardest thing you've ever dealt with, don't get too bogged down on that, because this too shall pass. It's about having that eye to the future and really going, okay, what am I going to do when, we're making great money, and what are we going to do when it drops off? Because nobody saw COVID happen. Like this was not on anybody's radar. And when that first happened, oh my God, did that wipe out everybody, right? Like, world went nuts. But then what happened after it? Well, we had this huge push into everybody wanting to buy local. So here's this huge negative thing. And then within 6 months, my sales were higher than they were before it, because everybody concentrated on local. And who spent 14 years, 15 years developing himself as the local guy? Hey, it was me. Everybody knew that. So everybody came out to support us. So here's this negative and turned it into a positive. And that's the mindset you kind of have to be in if you're going to make it as an owner.
Well, Tommy B, this is Tommy Y saying this was a great conversation, and I totally appreciate you coming on today. And I just want to thank you for your time. And I want to say to all the Empire Builders listeners, thank you guys for supporting the podcast. We really appreciate it. And as we continue to bring great entrepreneurs to talk to you guys, I just hope you guys continue to listen, and please subscribe to the show on Spotify and share it to your friends and let people know. So thanks, Tommy B. We'll talk to you soon, man.
Thank you.